Good afternoon, everyone, both in the chamber and online. I'll hand over to Denise to do the notice and summons meeting.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, members. You're hereby summoned to attend the bi-monthly meeting of the Assurance, Audit and Risk Committee, which will be a hybrid socially distanced meeting conducted remotely via WebEx and also physically here in the Council Chamber today, Monday the 15th of November at 4 p.m. I'll proceed to take the roll. Alderman Keith Kerrigan.
Here, Denise.
Alderman David Ramsey. Councillor Raymond Barr.
Here, Denise.
Councillor Michaela Boyd.
Shaw, Denise.
Councillor Sean Carr. I've received apologies from Councillor Emmett Doyle. Councillor Stephen Edwards. Councillor Paul Fleming. Councillor Paul Gallagher.
And Shaw.
Councillor Patricia Logue. We also have received apologies from Councillor Philip McKinney. Councillor Maeve O'Neill.
Here, Denise.
Councillor Martin Riley.
Here, Denise.
And Councillor Lillian Zeno Barr. Thank you, members. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Denise. Item 3 is the broadcasting statement. I would like to remind everyone present at this meeting in the Guildhall or in attendance remotely that this meeting will be broadcast live to the internet and will be capable of repeated viewing. This broadcast may be terminated or suspended in accordance with our protocol. Due to your attendance at this meeting, you're being consenting to being filmed and to use and storage of those images for broadcasting or training purposes, or for the purposes of keeping historical records and making those records available to the public. Members and approved speakers are reminded to only have their mics and cameras on while speaking at the meeting, and to use the chat facility to highlight a request to speak. A copy of the Council's privacy notice may be found on the Council website, www.derrystaban.com. Thank you. Item 4 is declaration of members' interests. Anyone have anything, can put them in the chat box. Thank you. Item 5, chairperson business, which there is none. Item 6 is the matters of the open minutes for Audit, Risk and Assurance Committee held on the 20th of September. That's pages 1 to 12. Any matters arising? No. Thank you. Take item 7, internal audit report, and James will take this.
Chair. The purpose of this report is to update members on the internal audit work carried out within Derry City Strabane District Council in the period October to November 2021. Following audit work was finalised recently. reconciliation of payroll records to HR records for part-time staff. In September, a report was presented to the Governance and Strategic Planning Committee about arrangements for repayment of salary due to an overpayment. Internal audit were requested by senior management to undertake a reconciliation between payroll records and HR records for part-time staff to ensure that there was no other employees overpaid in similar circumstances. Internal audit reconciliation work found that no other further overpayments were identified. As a result of this work, internal audit made 6 recommendations to improve the control environment and to strengthen the controls already in place. A summary of these recommendations, along with the management responses and implementation dates, can be found in the table of recommendations on page 11 of the report, which can be found at Appendix A. Item 3.2 there details the other internal audit work carried out recently, and there are no budget implications arising as a result of this business. And the recommendation is to seek members' comments on the internal audit reports. Thank you.
Any members, any comments? No? Thank you. Take item 8 and we'll hand over to Stephen. Stephen's online. Stephen Knox. Stephen, can you let us know if you're on? Well, hand over to Denise. Take item 8.
Thanks, Chair. Members, the purpose of this report is to present to you the final report to those charged with governance for the Council for the financial year 2021. As members will be aware, the draft report was completed and presented to this committee in September by the Audit Office. The report is now being finalised and is presented today for members' endorsement. For members' information, there has been no changes to the report since the draft report went in September. And the local government auditor has signed the financial statements with an unqualified audit opinion without modification. For comments, but happy to take any questions. Thanks.
Members, any questions? No? No one online? No one in the chamber? Recommendations then is to approve of report? Yeah. I'll second it. Thank you.
Thanks, Chair. Again, members, the purpose of this report is to present to you the final report to those charged with governance for the North West Region Waste Management Group for the financial year 2021. Again, members are advised that this report has been presented to the North West Region Waste Management Group Joint Committee. It was considered at their last committee meeting. And again, the audit report received an unqualified audit opinion without modification and no recommendations made. Happy to take any comments, Chair. Thanks.
Chair, it's okay here. It's Stephen Knox from the Audit Office. I had difficulty with my audio. I've just got that. So I think Denise has covered the 2 reports who's charged with governance, but if there's any queries, I'm happy to take those.
Any comments, members? No. No comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll go to item 10. Enough.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report is to update members on Council's most recent ISO 45001 external audit report and the associated findings. Derry City and Strabane Council achieved the accreditation in November 2019. The ISO 45001 management system conforms to the international standard for health, safety and occupational management within organisations. It provides DCSDC with a framework to help identify, manage and implement continual improvements surrounding health, safety and wellbeing risks posed by the type of work activity that we as a council undertake on a day-to-day basis. The external audit for the council's health and safety management systems was carried out remotely during the 6th to the 7th of September this year. This was due to the controls in place around COVID and the external auditing company at that time. The audit was completed using online WebEx meetings, Zoom calls, virtual tours and submission of all requested council documentation to the auditing team over the 2-day period. The external audit report is attached for members' information at Appendix E. An executive summary of the findings is included on page 5 of the main audit report. Members are advised that no instances of non-conformity were detected during the assessment, and one opportunity for improvement was noted. The opportunity for improvement surrounded clause 8.2 of the standard, which covers emergency preparedness and response. The external auditor suggested that the organisation would benefit from reviewing the emergency response plan in relation to the frequency of fire evacuations and reinstate them throughout the council's facilities with required mitigations given the ongoing COVID-19 risks. This has since been addressed and actioned by the Corporate Health and Safety team. Pages 7 to 14 of the main audit report covers the information sampled throughout the audit process, and that included the corporate health, safety and wellbeing objectives and targets for the organisation, recent management review meetings between the senior leadership team, council unions, corporate health and safety, HR, finance and legal teams, the internal audit programme covering unannounced audit reports for the organisation based on risk, a virtual tour of the Foyle Arena, followed by a meeting with site management and staff, whereby all local documentation in relation to risk assessment, premises risk assessments, training, communication and COVID controls were discussed and reviewed in detail. The overall health and safety policy and all associated systems, forms and procedures were also reviewed. All of the above areas of the system were reviewed and found to be without issue at time of the audit. Members will note that the external audit is scheduled for March 2022, when the auditor will next be here. It has been agreed that this will return to a physical audit, and the Corporate Health and Safety team welcome this decision. Council continued to work in challenging circumstances, and health and safety management within the organisation has been tested throughout the COVID pandemic. Having the ISO 45001 management system in place gave the Council an established framework to manage the initial and continued pressures of working through a pandemic in relation to both the physical safety and wellbeing of all our staff. The Corporate Health and Safety team would like to thank those staff who actively participated in this audit and who have assisted in the ongoing implementation of the framework within our organisation. We will continue to push for improvements in order to ensure a safer working environment for all employees. There's no implications arising from this report, and members are asked to note its contents. Happy to take any questions if there is any. Thank you.
Thank you, Una. Any questions, members?
Questions, just to say it's a very good report. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. Well, mine. Thank you. Move on to item 11. Hand over to Denise.
Thanks, Chair. Members, the purpose of this report is to seek your comments and endorsement on the Council's Corporate Risk Register. As members will be aware, the Risk Register is reviewed on a quarterly basis by the Senior Leadership Team and presented to the Assurance, Audit and Risk Committee biannually. It was last reviewed by this committee in February 2021. The Risk Register has had a detailed review in the past number of weeks by the Senior Leadership Team, and the results are here for you today, members, for your comments and endorsement. A report is attached summarising the Council's current, critical and high scoring corporate risk, and the register details the identified risks and the current controls in place to manage them. The members will see from the risk register that there's a number of controls that have been applied, but even after the controls are applied, there's a number of risks that are still high on the register. The main ones being is the inability to deliver on Council's ambitious capital programme of strategic and community projects due to the significant associated capital financing, staff resources and ongoing revenue costs, the increased risk of cyber crime, the medium to long-term viability of the City of Derry Airport, and conclusion to sign off of the City Deed document. Members are asked to note that there's a number of controls in place to manage these risks, and there's further actions in place to mitigate them further. In addition to this, there's also a number of high scoring risks on the register, and again, there's controls and action plans in place to manage all of these risks. Happy to take any comments or questions from members on the risk register.
Thank you, Denise. Any members wish to comment? No, none on mine. Thank you. And item 12 is just for information purposes. So That's us. 16 minutes, I think. So thank you, members, in the chamber and online, and to all the staff as well. Thank you.
Chair.